Question reads that there are two equilibria as shown below. So there's reaction 1, there's x2 reacting with y2 and producing x2y. And there's another reaction going on where x2y is reacting and it's producing x2 and half y2. The numerical value for Kc for reaction 1 is 2. So they've given you the value for Kc for reaction number 1, and they're saying that the Kc value is coming out to be equal to 2. And they are asking under the same conditions, what is the numerical value for Kc for reaction number 2? So we want to find the value of reaction number 2 now. So what we are going to do now is, we're going to first pick reaction number 1. So let's pick reaction 1 and write the expression for Kc. Now the Kc expression for reaction number 1 is going to be, if we look carefully, it's going to be products over reactants. So it's going to be x2y. So my product is x2y and the coefficient is 2. So it's going to be, the concentration would be squared. And I'm going to divide that by my reactants, which are x2 and y2. x2 has a coefficient of 2. So my reactants are going to be, it's going to be x2 squared. And y2 would be, the coefficient is 1. So y2 would be 1. So we're going to put y2 as 1. And they've told us that this value, this Kc has a value of 2. Let's now focus on the other equation, this equation over here, and write the expression for Kc for this equation over here. So if I try and find the value for Kc for this other reaction, it's going to be, now my products are y2 and x2 and my reactant is x2y. So the Kc expression, products over reactants, it's going to come out to be equal to the products, which are x2 power 1, and y2 would be, its power is going to be half, divided by my reactant, which in this case is x2y. So it's going to be x2y, and that has a coefficient of 1 as well. So the coefficient, the power in the expression is going to be 1. So this is the Kc that they want us to figure out. And they have given us the value for Kc for reaction number 1. What I'm going to do is, let's call this Kc1, let's call this Kc number 2. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to compare the two Kc expressions. So let's try and compare the two Kc expressions. So you have Kc1 and you have Kc2. And Kc2 is the one that we are trying to figure out. What is Kc2? One thing, if you compare the two expressions, you would notice that x2y is the denominator over here and x2y is the numerator over here. Whereas x2 and y2 are the denominators in this expression and x2 and y2 are the numerators in the other expression. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to try and manipulate this expression. So I'm going to invert it, which means I'm going to make the denominator the numerator, and I'm going to make the numerator the denominator. So I'm going to make it upside down. So if I do that, it's going to become x2 squared. That would become my numerator, y2 power 1 divided by the numerator, which is x2y squared. So I've made this expression upside down. I want to make this look like this expression over here because I want to find this Kc2. So if I make it upside down, numerator becomes denominator, denominator becomes numerator. The value would invert as well. It would become 1 by 2. So that's the first part. Now the two expressions look very similar. You have x2 and y2 in the numerator, and you have x2 and y in the denominator. Now one other thing that needs to be done is that over here x2 is squared and x2y is also squared. Over here x2 is not squared, it only has power 1. x2y also has power 1 and y2 has power 1, whereas y2 has power half over here. So one other thing that we need to do is, we need to take the under root of this expression, because if I take the under root of this expression, then this expression would become exactly equal to this expression. So if I take the under root, taking the under root, x2 squared would become x2 power 1. So let's rewrite this expression. Let's try and rewrite this expression. So it's going to become x2 squared would become 1. y2 under root, y2 was power 1. So if y2 is under-rooted, that means it's going to become power half. And the denominator x2y squared, under root would become just x2y. And this value would come out to be, because I'm taking the under root, I'm taking the under root over here as well. So it's going to become 1 by 2 under root. Now if you look carefully, this expression, the first expression kc1, has been turned into the expression kc2 over here, which is this one, and I have the value as well, which is 1 by 2 under root. So this kc2, I've converted the expression, the first kc1 expression, into the expression for kc2. And when I convert it, I get the value 1 by 2 under root. So it's going to be, the correct answer is going to be option number, it's going to be option A, 1 by 2 under root.